Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another episode of the Linda Ogweno Political Show. In this show, we purpose to bring better governance in Kenya by training on politics and political processes. Today, we are so excited and honored to have a guest. But before I tell you about the guest and his name, I'd want to appreciate Women United for Our Future for the support and the role they have played towards the production of this particular show. So, without further ado, I hand it over. Kindly introduce yourself to our guests today, to our viewers, sorry.
Yeah, greetings, Kenyans. My name is Victor Charles. I am a political commentator and a political blogger in the great Kisumu County. First of all, before we continue, allow me to take this ample time to send my deepest condolences to the bereaved family of the late slain Albert Ojwang, who was murdered in an unclear circumstances. So, at my capacity, he was a fellow and one of us. So allow me just to sound my condolences and warm hugs to the family who are going through the grieving moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor, for bringing up the issue of Ojwang. And you see, it just brings up the conversation why this show is very timely because we are encouraging young people to come up and take up leadership so that we see better governance in this particular country. And so that's why we have set up this to just train them and give them this nugget to equip them for the elections that are going to come. And for young people who are out there, come out in your numbers in the next election and seek for a political seat so that you are able to see the Kenya that you want to see. But back to the show, Victor. Can you just tell us who is a blogger and what is blogging in the political arena? What does it mean?
Yeah, blogging in the political blogging is a very wide language or wider uh, thing to say. It is a narration or a kind of expression in a way of doing it in an article. So when you say a political blogger, that means they are purposefully highlighting political activities, things that are related to politics, that are linked to the Mwananchi directly, but are related to the political things. That's blogging, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, for an aspirant or a candidate who probably is vying for the very first time and they are looking for a blogger, what are the things that they can look for? Is there qualification for a blogger? How do I get to, hire somebody?
There is a thin line between, there's a thin line in that your question, and it needs a delicate balance because as an aspirant, you don't just walk in the market and pick anybody who can just write. You must pick somebody of substance, somebody who has principles and values. And what most these political leaders look for is the consistency, oath of secrecy, and what do we say? And how you call the language, how you package yourself, how one person package themselves. So I say that's alone is a checklist or cut line whereby they'll not tell you that this is what I'm looking for, but necessarily you see they are leaning to, if you have those merits, they'll be leaning towards that.
Towards you.
Yeah.
You have mentioned something very important, that is the oath of secrecy. And yes, it's very important for that to be upheld. So, what does a candidate need to do? Do you need to have like a document that the blogger signs for oath of secrecy, or what do you
No,
advise?
when you start taking bloggers through the uh, how do you say the legal procedures,
Procedure.
they'll feel so scared, and because most of these bloggers are there, they also sleep off because of the political terrain where we are, because they keep on shifting the goalposts depending on who is coming. But most bloggers are also human beings. Today you are with them, tomorrow they are with the other person, like that, depending on how your financial muscle is. So when you talk of oath of secrecy, that one means that when they are bringing you on board, when you're walking with them the journey, so the dark things that you did while you were together, they'll try and protect. Then maybe respect the line of professionalism that you people had.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why they will first check your ability to communicate, your level of education. This blogging as let's be you asked about qualification. uh, I think most of the people who are most people who have gone to school are the ones who are now doing this blogging. Yes. Perfect because of the language. Yes. Yeah, because most people also want to read the language and the systematic flow of the language. Yeah. So when you are saying that the oath of secrecy and what have you, the leaders maybe just check on the composure in you and how you conduct yourself. Because most of these leaders, they maybe you can walk with them in their vehicle, and they also have whatever the build they're doing their vehicle. So when you part ways, you cannot come out and be like Miguna Miguna who start hitting back. Yeah.
Very hard.
Yeah.
You have mentioned something very, and if I've had it's more or less just a gentleman's agreement. But there's something you have mentioned that a blogger would be blogging for you and blogging for somebody else.
Yeah.
And how does that work? Because I think that could be a challenge to a candidate. So do you blog for me and on my opponent at the same time, or you could be blogging for me and also blogging for somebody who's going for a different stage? Maybe I'm going for NCA and that person is going maybe for senator. So you are blogging for both
The
of
level.
us.
So
And how do you handle the two different aspirants?
so that one will be when you are blogging, you blog for levels because
Okay.
you cannot blog for two MCAs in the same word. That will be a conflict of interest. Yeah, and then also you can blog for two MCAs for different wards. Yeah,
Different
you can blog for two MPs, different constituency in those categories. So when you see somebody's strength, when you see you are always on on this platform. When you see a blogger trying to give someone more airtime, that means that person gives them a lot of attention. Yeah. So when you tend to see like in a month, an aspirant has only appeared only twice or once, that means they have not yet decided on what they want pattern they want to use. They are still trying to find themselves. They are walking on a rocky path. But when you see an aspirant who is being blogged every day, every morning, lunch, every day, that means that there's something there.
It's not bread.
No.
What we call bread.
Yeah, we call
Eh?
bread. Yeah.
So let me ask you, how does blogging work? If I'm an aspirant and you're my blogger, do I have to go with you for my function? Or do I share photos? Are you part of my campaign team? And is that something I should budget for?
It also boils down to seriousness from the aspirant. If you want a specific blogger, like you have a lead blogger, all this is these arrangements. Let me take you back when you talk of this oath of secrecy. They always a lead blogger in this kind of political arrangement. Yeah, in any political formation, there always that lead blogger who coordinates the rest. Yeah, and there's always that communication, WhatsApp or whatever, where even they have their own kind of meetings and blah blah blah. So the team, the lead will always go with an aspirant on the ground and then relay back the information how it has been the actual thing. Yeah, so maybe they can go with the camera. If it's a big function, they do cameras, the budget of the cameras and all what have you. If it's just a light kind of an arambe or some small function or something that is just around within, they'll be going with just a phone, an iPhone or a Samsung. They just capture whatever you are doing and then they share with the rest who are back at home.
So if I hear you clearly, you're saying that if it's a big function, there needs to be camera. So
Yeah.
does the aspirant have to budget for the camera?
Yeah.
Or so the aspirant has to budget for the camera. So in the event the blogger is using maybe their phone, so does the aspirant have to buy for you a phone, or the blogger can use their phone? How does that work in that context?
So when they are, I told you initially, there always an arrangement. There always a leader kind of blogger. Yeah. So when you bring all everybody who is interested on board and you realize their strength, now you'll get like there is somebody who is a blogger, but they're having their shop running.
Okay.
You love there's a blogger, but they're doing something somewhere. So they are a blogger like that. So with them, they'll be behind the scene. They'll be blogging behind the scene. but each and every one of them is having different dynamics of life. Someone on maybe bundles, someone on a simu like that. So it's incumbent upon the team lead now to relay this information to whoever is buying aspirant. But this our team colleague. If you are 10, let me use that for example. Person B or person X is lacking one, two, three. Person this is lacking one, two, three. So if you are a team of 10 and you're working with an aspirant, each and every of them will not be. Most of them I see they don't go for even a simu because they go for what we call personal issue that is biting them. So they prefer you give them even some small appreciation of token, and then they sort their issue. I think I've answered that. So instead of them telling you that buy me a phone, buy me a camera, because if you wake up tomorrow and then your opponent comes with a good deal, they'll cross over. That one do happen because you realize now when you're going towards an election, it gets more intense and intense. So the coward bloggers always shift. Yeah, they always shift, and then they forget about the journey that you've walked with them. And in politics, there's always no mercy. Yeah, so even if you buy, unless you buy somebody a land. Yeah.
Okay, very well put. Now that you're talking about that, how much are bloggers paid? If I'm to hire a blogger, how much? What is the range? And also speak to if I'm a candidate and I want to come up with my campaign budgets. How much would you advise that I can budget for in Kenya
The
shilling?
list for MCA is 2,000. That is weekly. That is the list. MPs and the governors and above is 5,000, 8,000, 10,000 above, just going on onwards. So,
Weekly.
weekly, depending on the arrangement that you have, or if it can be a kind of an appreciation. Somebody can just say, "I'll do you this. I'll pay maybe your fee.
In kind.
In kind. And maybe I'll just do you this. I'll take your sibling to school." So there always that kind of an appreciation. It doesn't mean that it can be a direct kind of you and so maybe let me say for example you Linda, you have your sister, your cousin, or somebody. Once an aspirant or a politician has taken care of what was maybe giving you that kind of stress, you just blog for them passionately without even blinking an eye. Also, that one comes with someone can just say like, this month I'm opening you a shop, I'm boosting you in a business. So you can the way I told you earlier that you find that most bloggers they have the strength of blogging. Like we are in a digital era nowadays. People are on mostly online, so they can just do a blogging. So maybe alikuwa akona hiyo passion ya kuuza, they can do a shop or whatever. And then this an aspirant can just pump in some capital
into the
so
business.
yeah, so whenever they're in the business, they are blogging.
Well said. So you mentioned also data and bundles. Is that something that
It's very crucial
is very
because
crucial?
once let me also take you back. If a politician supported you, like let's say he or she has paid for you maybe rent, or he has supported you in one way or the other, school fees, sibling, blah. So it means people are many, not only you blogger in the circle that you are in this journey.
Yes.
So we have so these aspirants is supporting so many people at a go. So whenever they have taken something an item for you, so you reciprocate by blogging for them. So those who have not these aspirants have not done anything for them, that one will force them to do them weekly bundles. Like there is a bundle that weekly you get.
Let me ask you, and how do you measure deliverables? If I have hired you as a blogger, how do I know if you posted in 30 groups as an aspirant?
You'll feel the results.
How do I hold you? There's a JD and the deliverables. How can I track and know today Victor has posted in 30 groups, he has done so and so in which social media page? How can I track?
As an aspirant, if you start doing that direction,
Yes.
you fail very early in the morning because they'll be like you want now to monitor you monitor them, or but it's always you leave them, you do your part, then it's now them to do their part, but you'll get results from people will say, I saw somebody posting this, when are you doing this? In fact, you'll hear it whenever you are maybe organizing an activity, is when you'll feel like you always have a bloggers, because when, let's say, you're having a homecoming or a mega fund drive or whatever, and then your bloggers circulate that, there is when you know that you always have bloggers from that point. But otherwise, all along you'll be just like, oh, you are just weighing waters nini nini, watu watakuwa na post tu, watu wengine wanaona, basi kwenye utakuwa na kitu, even maybe let's say you are the people around here will call you like, I've seen this in a forum in Nairobi. What is, I know this lady. What is she going to do? This is amazing. Yeah.
Okay, wow. I know you probably have been put in a very funny situation where you get, maybe you're asked to post something that you're against as a blogger, maybe some propaganda that on a personal level you feel uncomfortable with. How do you handle that as a blogger?
Yeah, as let's say, as an aspirant, uh, if you are an aspirant and there is somebody who is still working, there is always that very tight balancing of a blogger, because you also need to respect that institution. However much you are coming with a new person, you always, for example, there's the MP seats. If you are blogging for someone who is now coming in,
Than incoming.
the incoming, you need to respect the incumbent.
Yes.
Yeah, so you cannot start propagating things that aren't there just to try and settle some political scores. Again, if this also brings me to the this just to add on this, bloggers also are needed to uphold to social fabric morals. You cannot just post something for the sake. We have people in the society and the stereotype, what have you, but you need to respect each and every person's religion, education, background, blah, 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 what have you. So you must also understand that if I say this, how will it turn out to uh, my aspirant? If you just say like, let me say, there are people who are just adamant diehards, and if you look at them, you can even just want to use a very an inflammatory or a derogatory language on them, but you hold it back. And
Yes.
these people, they always have kind of annoying words like, oh, blah blah
They
blah.
trigger you.
They trigger you. But since the position that you are seeing your candidate is coming in, it will force you to hold back. However much you are triggered or emotional, it will force you to hold back, because with them they are looking for news from you. Yeah.
Yes, so they're trying to trigger you.
Yeah.
Very, very well said. Let me ask you, after the campaign period, what happens to bloggers? Does my contract as a candidate end up there, or what happens after campaign?
Depending on the role that you played, if you are on the background, you'll be supported as the way you are on the background, you are in the front line, you'll be rewarded.
Wow.
Yeah, most people get rewarded if they are on the limelight, because so they also put their life at rest, and therefore their family life at risk. The way it happened to the late Slain Albert.
Yes.
So these bloggers always go their way to try and prove a point at the moment when you are approaching the general election. Yeah. So if there are people who are going to school, they'll be supported in terms of the education. There are people who will be empowered in terms of business. There are people who will be given opportunities. We've seen leaders trying to hold the hands of people they have tried to walk with the journey. However much the number is always big when they are finishing the race, but it takes time, like a year. In that process, these leaders, they always just support with some kind of appreciation, like bring you rent, as they are waiting for any opportunity to light up.
Very well said. And you have spoken about so much. And Victor, if somebody likes and would like to hire you, how can they reach you? And apart from blogging, what else do you do?
Yeah, apart from blogging, I am a mentor. I am a public speaker.
Okay.
Yeah, and I normally talk to these institutions, this is secondary school. I normally just go and talk to them. I give them a picture outside there, and I don't know how I can, but I'm a public speaker.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a digital marketer.
If some,
Especially, well, that's what I major on.
mhm.
The adverts. I do a lot of ad endorsements,
Okay.
digital marketing space.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's how we do a lot of things because apart from blogging, you also use your numbers because some of us have elevated themselves in
Mhm.
terms of maybe you use the space you have positively to change the society.
Very well said. So if somebody wants to, reach you, how can they contact you?
They can just get me on my social media
Mhm.
handle that is gas pipe med gas pipe on TikTok and gas pipe media on TikTok and also gas pipe press on Facebook and gas pipe at gmail.com.
Okay,
Yeah.
very well said. And that you introduced why we formed this, why we have this show. And so I'd want you to take a minute or two and just speak to, women and youth and people who living able differently, who are underrepresented politically, and just say something to them.
Yeah, Kenyans, maybe I'll take this sample time to talk to young people. We are in a very unprecedented times. We just want to encourage ourselves maybe to walk in a very narrow path and be very conscious, be guided by wisdom in anything that we do. Above all, the people living with disability, we are not left behind. The space is very wide and leaders are trying to put some effort to ensure that your space is covered and you are somewhere in terms of moving forward as a society. Women, young people, everybody in the community, old and the girls, it's not time yet to give up. We are moving together forward and we are together going to change this society if we believe in tomorrow. There was a quote by one Steve Biko who once said that you rather die for something that will live or living for something that will die. That's a very powerful quote from one activist from South Africa. Thank you.
Oh, well said. And thank you very much,
Yeah.
Victor, for taking your time once again to come and share your wisdom with us. And yes, to ladies and gentlemen out there, you have heard it and you have learned about bloggers and blogging. Leave it in the comment section what questions that you have for Victor and how we can make it better for the sake of next time. Thank you once more for watching till this very time and see you next time. This is the Linda Ogwen of Political Show. Bye bye.